and that's when I started accumulating back in 2020. I was trying to do a lot of trading, was dabbling into altcoins, and that's when I realized that there's a lot of pump and dump going on, and I want something that I can hold on to for long term and pass on to my two sons. I could be a board certified hospitalist right now, making six figures right this moment, but it also comes down to what your passion is. It's great to have as many BTC as you can get. You can never have enough BTC, but you also don't want to be doing nothing your whole life. I feel like you need to have some sort of passion. You need to have some sort of purpose. Bitcoin itself is such a delayed gratification, and who's better at understanding that than the doctors? 4 years college, 4 years med school, years of residency, for me 3, and it's a long grind. I think BTC treasury companies are here to stay. I'm extremely bullish on MSTR and Metaplanet, and my portfolio is pretty much.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Bitcoin Fellowship. Orange Pill Docs here, Chris and Adam. We're excited to bring you episode 7, Proof of Work. In this episode, we're welcoming Dr. Sahil Zaveri to the Bitcoin Fellowship. He completed his undergraduate at the University of Toronto. He earned a bachelor's degree in health and disease, and then went on to earn his medical degree at St. George's University. He's completed an internal medicine residency at SUNY Downstate in Brooklyn, and he's currently a cardiology fellow there in his first year. We titled this episode Proof of Work because Sahil is living proof that Bitcoin can revolutionize not just your portfolio, but your entire financial trajectory. As usual, none of this is financial advice or medical advice. We just want to kind of spread the word and share what's worked for us and what's worked for Sahil. All right, guys, welcome back to the Bitcoin Fellowship. Orange Pill Docs here, Adam and Chris, here with Sahil Zaveri, episode 7, which is appropriately titled Proof of Work. Sahil is one of the cardiology fellows up in New York City who has already found financial freedom. And we're here to share his journey, kind of share the decisions that he's made and how Bitcoin has helped kind of set him free and hopefully get some more docs orange pilled. Sahil, do you want to just kind of go in and jump in and talk about why you chose medicine, why you chose cardiology?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's great to be here, Chris and Adam.
Welcome.
I think for me, medicine has always been the peak of my interest, especially from an early childhood. I could never see myself getting to anything else. I guess now it's a little too early to say I was always into Bitcoin. But growing up, I thought medicine was the most fascinating thing. I still think it is. I think it's a privilege every day we can wake up and help so many patients. And every day I go home thinking, at least I made a difference in a lot of people's lives. And cardiology, well, I think it's one of the most important things in my mind is how we can help the number one cause of death, which is heart disease. So I'm very, very grateful to be getting to this position.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The heart's only kind of important, right?
Only a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It pumps AND stuff to the bones. That's what
Only
most
a
of the
little
people
bit.
We're used to
fine.
working with the orthopedic surgeons, and that's definitely the answer. Is that's
Yeah.
what the heart's used for. Well, let me ask you this, Al. When did you first get into Bitcoin?
So I first heard about it back in 2017, 2018, and I also heard it was nothing but a Ponzi scheme. So I stayed away from it. I never did the due diligence to look into it, not even 10 minutes. I spoke to my dad at that time and he said, "Oh yeah, it's nothing to worry about. We're just gonna stay away from that one." In 2020, that's when I saw that during COVID, of course, we're all inside.
Yep.
And it was just a time where it was between COVID and coming home and just being quarantined. That's when I started to look more into Bitcoin. It started to spike up throughout 2020, 2021, and that's when I started accumulating back in 2020. I was trying to do a lot of trading, buy Bitcoin, buy low, sell high. I was dabbling into altcoins, just doing the full 9 yards. I was getting into Ethereum, Doge, Solana, and that's when I realized that there's a lot of pump and dump going on, and I want something that I can hold on to for long term and pass on to my two sons.
It's awesome. It sounds like we have very similar approaches in like timelines.
Yeah, I think a lot of us heard about it in the late 2010s, and then we started dabbling in it in 2020, and it's now what we see is more like the clear path.
for sure.
So I'm trying to do the math here. Were you a medical student at that time, or were you just starting residency?
I was in middle of medical school. I was actually a third-year medical student in 2020, and that's when I started taking some money I had and putting it in, and I actually grew a lot from the fact that I was able to just trade a lot on it. So I remember going to rotations and quickly checking what the Bitcoin price is. And it's actually funny that you guys are both into anesthesia, because it was anesthesia guys in the back. Once the patient is sedated, they were looking at the Bitcoin price.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Smart guys.
Yep, 100%.
Well, that's neat. Let me ask you this. As a medical student, how did you get like passive income or like generate some source of income to continue to buy Bitcoin? Because obviously once you start to discover it, I think all of us inherently like, oh man, I need to buy more. What can I sell?
Yeah,
What can
100%. I think I was pretty fortunate in that aspect. Right from the beginning, my mom and dad, they would give me a certain portion of their wealth, and I was able to kind of grow that for them. So I wouldn't say I could have got this far without them. And based on the returns I provided, my parents wanted more and more of these type of investments.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's cool. You kind of got to dabble and like play with their finances in a way allotted to you in order to kind of start learning how to play the game.
Exactly. And luckily, I dabbled back in 2020 when things were up on a bullish area.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't do anything in 2022 when things were going downhill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the other question is then what led you into finding strategy and finding Metaplanet and some of these Bitcoin treasury companies? Was that just kind of a natural progression now?
Absolutely. Total natural progression. I think it's, one road leads to another. And in this aspect, it's really another platform of Bitcoin. I think BTC treasury companies are here to stay. I'm extremely bullish on MSTR and Metaplanet. And my portfolio is pretty much those two and Bitcoin at this point.
Yeah, from one Ponzi scheme to the next, right?
Exactly. Whatever gets us to the top.
I think that's pretty appropriate for the timeline that's going on now. And we've got to add in the price here, but we're sitting at $110,000 per Bitcoin, and people are
Exactly
bearish right now.
Yeah, we didn't say this is never financial advice. This is never medical advice. Like, we are doctors and we're talking about investments, but this is just for entertainment purposes only, so that we don't ever get in trouble.
Well, Dr. Zaveri, I think that's really cool how you kind of had that timeline. One of the things Chris and I always like to advocate is getting people into Bitcoin as early as they can, especially with a medical background, because we kind of know when our income is going to jump. Yeah. One of the things I always try and tell medical students and the interns and the residents is like, hey, you have to start playing around with personal finance a little bit now and start to learn those mistakes when you're not using as big of an income and as big of an amount that you could potentially lose. So getting them, yourself as an example, introduced to Bitcoin as early as possible, I think you've, like you said, been able to compound and experience that wealth generation over time and realize how great that compounded effect is. Has that influenced your decision to do like a cardiology fellowship? Have you kind of looked at that and the opposite lens and been like, oh man, this is 3 years of time, like the opportunity cost of going into a fellowship for 3 years? That's 3 years I could lose on like being a hospitalist or internal medicine doc for salary.
I would be lying if I said I'd never thought about it. There's a lot of times where I say, you know what, I can be board certified. I could be a board certified hospitalist right now, making 6 figures right this moment. But it also comes down to what your passion is. If you're going to make 6 figures either way as a physician, So it's really, sure, I can get a head start by being a hospitalist, for example, and stacking some more BTC or some more shares. But in the long run, I think I have a big enough portfolio now where even if I spend 3 years just focusing on getting my fellowship under my belt and then going on and moving forward, I think in the grand scheme of things, it's all good, because it's great to have as many BTC as you can get. You can never have enough BTC, but you also don't want to be doing nothing your whole life. I feel like you need to have some sort of passion. You need to have some sort of purpose. Otherwise, I think that's where the downfall starts to happen.
Yeah, if you're planning just to live out and play with your Bitcoins like in retirement and do nothing, then I think you get bored really quickly because you just have no fulfillment. Yeah. Like, you're not helping it. You're not upgrading the world in any significant way. Like, you're just
also, what are you going to do? Yeah. Are you going to just stay home all day, play video games? Because That's nice, but it lasts like a weekend before I get bored.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. I think that's the cool thing about Bitcoin, right? Especially like being in the medical field, we all have that sense of calling and that sense of like there's an ethical reward and satisfaction, like you said, going home every day and like get people trusting you to make a difference in their lives.
Absolutely. And I think Bitcoin itself is such a delayed gratification. And who's better at understanding that than the doctors?
We
Absolutely,
definitely
man.
have first world experience in that,
Yeah,
but
we're well
without a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've
we've
been in
already
this
built that in.
field, 4 years college, 4 years med school, years of residency. For me, 3 years residency, 3 years fellowship, and it's a long grind, and nothing happens overnight.
Are you going to jump and do EP after you do cardiology?
I was considering EP. I was also considering interventional,
Okay.
but I feel like you just asked me right now, Adam. Do I want to do hospitalist or do I want to do cards? I think cards for me is good enough for now.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That was a really hard thing for Chris and I to discuss. We kind of talked about this very early on in the podcast, but anesthesia residency is 4 years. So obviously it's nowhere
Right.
near your 3 years of internal medicine and your 3 years of fellowship. You're doing 2 more years than us. But most people nowadays will do a year of anesthesia fellowship afterwards, where they'll specialize in like pediatrics or OB anesthesia, cardiac, ICU, pain. And for
Yeah.
Chris and I, we both really liked several niches, specifically pediatrics. And it was right around that time. It was kind of like 2021, 2022 when we're starting to decide fellowship year. And Chris and I both kind of independently looked at each other and we're like, man, that's a lot of money to leave on the table for a fellowship year. Like we're starting to do the math and, we were wanting to buy in. Like, well, it was funny. We talked to a couple of the pediatric anesthesiologists, which at our residency institution were kind of more of the private guys. They kind of did everything. We looked up to them a lot. Yeah. And it was really funny because, talking to them about interviewing and going for a fellowship, most of them, when we explained what we were trying to do about stacking as an attending that year, they're like, yeah, that's probably a good plan. I would do that instead.
100%. And I feel like if you really want to dive into a fellowship down the road, I know a lot of people who, even after years of being an attending, they go back and do a fellowship.
Yeah.
But if you aren't, I think anesthesia itself is such a nice field, the way cardiology is. It gives you a lot of scope to do different types of anesthesia. Same with cardio. I feel like I don't need to really do interventional or EP for me to really get a good horizon over everything.
For sure.
Yeah. Gives you the time to talk about this kind of stuff too, and make those decisions so that you can have financial freedom and choose what you want to do that's going to yield more satisfaction. I think that's a really cool point, right? Is like you've been able to step off of the hamster wheel and kind of actually take a 360 view around you and be like, well, where do I want to move next? Because I have a lot more opportunity and options because of the decisions I've made so far.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm very grateful, and I think every single Bitcoiner can say that this has been a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the big difference, we've had a lot of similarities, more than I realized, coming into this interview. But the difference you have now is you have access to med students and other residents, like in your day-to-day job. How is that interaction? Like, you're orange pilled. Are you like the guy that's always orange pilling all of the trainees, or are you just kind of quiet about it if they ask you about it?
No, I mean, I'm pretty vocal, I'd say.
Awesome.
Oh yeah.
I think it's our due diligence to be vocal on this one. I can't have Saylor going from podcast to podcast and I'm just being quiet here.
Yeah,
that's
we
right.
have to do we have to contribute. So I think it's one of those things where whether it's a medical student, I've told so many med students that don't keep your Bitcoin in your little Robinhood wallet, bring it to cold storage. And a lot of times med students will say, oh, but it's only $20. But your $20, imagine $20 of Bitcoin back in 2012.
Yeah.
What did that grow to? You have to have a long-term horizon on this one. So the other day I was orange pilling the EP program director. And at first, this is just about 2 weeks ago, actually. At first, he was like, this is just a Ponzi scheme. He actually said it was a pie in the sky. After 30 minutes of back and forth, I had him very, very interested on it.
Yeah.
So
that's the cool thing about being in like the OR or like some of these surgical suites, kind of the same area you could potentially be in, is you get a chance to talk to some of these guys and have a long discussion with them. They're I like to joke with Chris, like I've got them trapped.
Yeah,
exactly.
They're a captive audience.
Leaving this room.
They're not leaving.
not leaving this room.
I like to envision you on like having heard you said that on rounds, and I think most of us in medicine will remember getting pimped, like as the medical student or the intern. It's like most of the attendings will, ask a very challenging question to the intern just to make them look dumb. I hope they get to you as the fellow and your question's not about medicine at all. It's just like something Bitcoin related, or like strategy or Metaplanet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How much Bitcoin did Saylor buy this week?
Yeah.
Exactly. Tell me right now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. I definitely think we need more people to speak out, and just kind of normalize it. I think just talking about personal finance in general in the medical field is such like a taboo thing. And I feel like
I couldn't agree with you more, Adam. 100%.
Like,
I don't know why this whole thing is such a taboo. Why is talking about finance and asset management, why is it looked down upon? And the first thing you say is, I want to do surgery, cardio, GI, anesthesia, radiology. They say, oh, he just wants the money. But maybe you just like the field, and yes, it just happens to pay a lot.
Yeah. Like you could just have those skills and that personality that fit with it. I went into anesthesia not by them for the money at all. Like I just like being in an operational type of specialty. Like I thought I was gonna do surgery for a long time and didn't really fall in love with actually operating, like being the person operating. But I loved the operating room environment and like what all it brought, everything's different day to day and all that. But money was probably the last thing I thought about, honestly, in my decision.
I feel like if you're gonna make six figures, you might as well be happy making six figures than be miserable making six figures.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think even now we can all attest to this, like having been close to the inside and being attendings with Chris and I, like there's so much easier routes to making money than being in medicine in the first place. What's the average person coming out of residency and fellowship? They're $400,000 in debt. You got plumbers and electricians that are making six figures a year.
I agree. I think it's the debt which really begins to compound as well. And that goes not in your favor, but against you. So there's a lot of ways to make money. And if you're listening to this podcast, just do it because you actually do enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
it's going to be a very hard journey and there's going to be days it's going to push you to your knees. But if you really like it, you'll keep going on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The counter, like I went to college with a guy that I lost track of for a long time, but he popped back up on something. He's like the VP of something at Unchained. It's like, that was what I could have done. Like, dang, I missed the boat on that one.
Right.
That'd be a lot easier and I think that would be equally fulfilling. But there's lots of different routes. Medicine is a great one. Any doctor, whatever. If you like peds, which is a historically low-paying specialty, like don't feel bad about it. You're still gonna make, if you're smart with your money and basically smart with your personal budget. Like don't spend more than you make. You're gonna be fine.
100%.
That's what it all boils down to.
Dr. Zaveri, when you're talking to the med students and stuff, is that kind of do they know you as like the Bitcoin guy, or do they know you as like the personal finance guy? Like,
I think it's because New York City is such a large environment where we constantly have different students rotating. So it's not like a lot of people will get to know me by the time before they've met me. So when money does come up, and we obviously have time, everything is, all the patients are tucked away. Then I'll say, well, what are you really thinking about this one? And I'll actually get them to speak as much as they can, rather than trying to, shove it down their throats, telling them Bitcoin's the answer. I think that's not the way to look at it. I think trying to get them to understand what is the systemic problem, and then asking them, what do you think would the solution be? And a lot of times, more often than not, they begin to realize and appreciate Bitcoin a bit quicker.
Yeah. I know I wasn't thinking enough about money as a med student. Like, it was just not so far down on the list. Like if I had someone that was halfway interested, I think it would have like piqued my interest a lot earlier. Fortunately, we had a choice few attendings that they were never Bitcoiners, but they were talking about personal finance and, making a budget and living within your means. And those are the ones you remember more than like the, chalk talk about nephrology or like,
I 100% agree with you, Chris. It was actually a specific attending in my hospital, and I was just working with him. And he started to orange pill me. And I was already a little bit onto Bitcoin. I was dabbling in, this is again a few years ago. And it was actually him telling me constantly, what do you think about this price? What do you think about this price? What do you think about this concept? And I remember working with them, and then a few months later coming back to work with them again. And this time tables are turned. I was orange pilling him on a concept that he was already sold on. And I was telling him, you got to step up your game.
Yeah. A concept Adam always brings up, I'm going to steal his line here, is like he's much more outgoing about orange pilling people than I am, just by our personalities. But he's like, I orange pilled someone today, and by the end of it, realized like I orange pilled myself. Like I don't have enough Bitcoin.
It's
you
like
find that like
you finish the spiel and you're like, ah, shit, I don't have enough.
I don't have enough.
I gotta go. I gotta stop talking and get.
Yeah,
some
hang
more
on. Let me go.
BTC.
Let me go log on to River.
A day like today, like it's Monday. You know, we dipped down to like 110.
Yeah,
I think.
it was actually
109.
109 just a while back, actually.
Yeah, perfect time to buy.
Exactly.
I think that's the other cool thing about medicine too, is like you'll run into those like rare attendings or those rare fellows or your senior that just tries to teach you like life stuff.
Exactly.
To me, that was always trying to talk about like not only how you can become a better doctor, but just like a better person. And obviously, as bad as it is, unfortunately, money is a big component of a lot of that. Like you can boil it down to this is why Bitcoin fixes it, and this is why the money is broken for any number of world problems, right? But it's just neat to have people actually talking about it. And I remember my first exposure as a medical student was the White Coat Investor book, and starting to read that and kind of getting some idea of like, hey, I knew why savings is important, but this is why it's more important for compound interest, and understanding what the difference between a Roth and a traditional 401k is. Learning those kind of things, you need to have some of that base knowledge in order to kind of understand why personal finance is important and how the system is set up to take advantage of you, and how with Bitcoin you can take advantage of the system.
I completely agree. And I think there's a lot of concepts at play here, whether it's retirement accounts, IRAs, 401ks. The average person just doesn't understand what all the tools at their disposal. So I think apart from just Bitcoin, understanding what are the different avenues you can invest in, the different accounts, etc., you can make the most of your money.
For sure.
All right, so while I got you here, I got to ask you about your optimal Bitcoin portfolio, because I know what Chris and ours was when we were residents. But with you, I'm guessing through an academic institution, are you a little bit limited in what you can get exposure to in your retirement? Or
Right. So because I work for the State University of New York, it's much more conservative. So it's primarily just index funds, and in that I have no option but just to stick to the S&P 500. But it was actually a year ago where I said, I don't even want to invest in this index fund. I told my hospital, just bring my contributions down to 0%. I'd rather have that extra paycheck and just put it more into MSTR and Metaplanet.
Oh, nice. That's a bold. I'm sure that you are very few of people that made that choice.
I was maxing it out. I mean, the past few years, I've been, 401k was 22,000. I was maxing out every single year. And when I dropped it from 22k all the way to 0, and I just took that extra money and just put it into MSTR and Metaplanet.
Yeah.
You just gave some boomer listening to somewhere a heart attack.
He's gonna be okay. If he's not, he knows which doctors to look for.
Yeah. Well, I think it's about understanding the reward to risk portfolio, right? And I think in the current trajectory of its lifespan, Bitcoin has the highest reward to risk portfolio that it's ever had. So anytime I hear people talk about the risks, I wouldn't necessarily advise anybody to go do that and just YOLO 100% take it out of all retirement. But I try and get a lot of the attendings that I work with to put retirement money. Luckily, we do get exposed, like have the ability to get exposure and shift stuff over from Vanguard to Schwab in our company retirement. And I try to get them to do that there. And that way they can invest in like a strategy or, IBIT or one of the Bitcoin ETFs. And that's how they get exposure, because so few are willing to put in, salaried money that isn't in retirement directly into Bitcoin. I'm hoping that it kind of becomes the reverse, and they, by having some exposure and getting off 0, you're kind of forced to pay attention.
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen. And then plus, like you just said, as time goes on, these funds will start, instead of just offering index funds, it'll be things like IBIT and FBTC. But I think we're about a few more years away for that stuff, where even more global adoption, even more global appreciation.
I wonder what that new executive order is going to do with that Trump just signed. I say just signed. It was like maybe a month ago, 3 weeks ago, about allowing alternative assets into your 401k. Like, I wonder, do they have to do that, or they're allowed to do that? Because I know like Vanguard, we're with Vanguard primarily through our employer, and like they've been very hesitant toward anything Bitcoin related. So even if someone else chooses to do that, I haven't read the fine text of the EO to know.
Yeah, I mean, even Vanguard in general is a much more conservative brokerage home. So I personally have everything at Fidelity, and the fact that they have their own spot ETF as well, it's motivating that I'm in the right spot here.
For sure.
Do you have like a ratio that you like to compare? Like, okay, this is how much I'm going to put in a strategy or a Metaplanet as opposed to like pure cold storage Bitcoin? Because I think that's so individualized now. Not a lot of people talk about it. I mean, I think every one of us Bitcoiners would agree you have to have cold storage Bitcoin, and
100%, 100%.
The value on that is priceless. But I guess what's your individual perspective on that?
This is what I'll say. I think it's extremely important to have cold storage Bitcoin, and if you you need to have your own keys as well. Not your keys, not your coins. I live by that, and that's one of my favorite things. As for ratios, right now I'll just talk about the ratios in Fidelity. I'm 50%. I'm 40%. I'm 45% MSTR, 45% Metaplanet, and then 5% individually between Ulti and MSTY. And again, that does not include my 401k, or rather my 403b with my hospital. But this is pretty much my brokerage as well as my IRAs.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you thought about any of the strategy preferreds? Like, have those? Obviously, we're all paying attention to those. Have those found a way? Have you thought of a way those would find a way to your portfolio, or just kind of tracking for now?
Not for mine, but my father-in-law, I have him now for Strife and Strike. And he loves it because he's of a retirement age and he doesn't really care so much about maximal returns, but he does want a nice dividend as well as some sort of stability and some sort of correlation with BTC.
Yeah.
So for him, Strike has been fantastic.
Very cool. Do you think Metaplanet just released their preferreds, or their intention to do preferreds? They're going to vote on it here in September.
Soon. Yep.
Do you think that will be available to Americans? Like, I don't know if, as an American, if we'd really have a need for it, but
I think down the road things will seep into America. But I think initially I do believe it's going to be kind of localized in Japan.
For sure.
Yeah, just the way Strike and Strife are localized in the United States, and I don't expect Japanese investors to start buying Strife. Yeah.
Are you interesting though? I don't know if they have that because they're yield starved, right? Like that's like the term
exactly
go around. So like I wonder if they do have access to that. I would guess they don't.
I would say not, because I think we would have heard about it now.
Yeah,
I also think that would defeat a lot of Metaplanet's perpetual ideas.
For sure.
Yeah, it's like got the niche there, I think.
Yeah,
exactly.
Every country has their own form of capital controls, whether you call it that or not. And yeah, I think we would have heard about it if that was open to the international market.
Totally agree with you, Chris.
Yeah. Very cool.
Do you think you'll be able to sell covered calls on some of the Metaplanet shares in the future?
I'm hoping to. I feel like I've a large enough sum where I could make solid money off of just covered calls on this. Speaking of covered calls, I'm actually about to get started with selling covered calls on MSTR. I feel like I've just been thinking that I might lose my shares, and having that fear has been stopping me from getting started. But I think I'm gonna start with one contract and then work myself up. Yeah. Are you guys doing covered calls?
I think we're in a very similar boat. We like send tweets back and forth and tweet threads like, oh, this is interesting. We kind of know the mechanics, but have never really pulled the trigger. Yeah. I think I sold one contract like maybe a few months ago because I'm like, I'm just going to do it. And the whole time I was worried that my shares were going to get called away. And
right.
I'm like, this is not worth my mental anguish. I'm just not going to do this again.
I feel like if it's somebody who is going to be devastated losing their shares, then I'd say it's best not to do it. But I think there is a lot of power in covered calls. Again, I'm not dabbled in just yet, but I'm going to be submitting my paperwork this weekend actually to Fidelity to get it started. Yeah.
Very cool.
So my dad has sold some. I haven't sold too many, but he's much more in that realm. He's kind of always had that kind of savviness with stocks. And I got him orange pilled a while back. So he's a big strategy holder now. So he's been selling some covered calls. He recently retired not too long ago. But yeah, man, I feel like it's just building up a base. I think kind of as Chris alluded to earlier, we're all kind of on the same timeline here. And you just want to build up a big enough base to where if a Metaplanet or a strategy does another 10-to-1 split, then you have so much more optionality for contracts.
And I think it's just a matter of time. MSTR did a 10-to-1 split just a year and a half ago.
Right.
Actually, no, I take that back. It was in the middle of 2024. I know because my mom had a 10-to-1 split for hers. And I was like,
it was barely a year ago, like not even a year and a half. Yeah.
It was
like, middle why is the price going down?
I'm like, don't worry about it. It's one. But and I think it's just a matter of time before Metaplanet, and Metaplanet actually did a 10-to-1 split just a few months back. So both the companies had to do a 10-to-1 split. So I think another one will be due in the coming, hopefully in a year or two.
It was July 11th, so almost
Yeah.
the exact middle of the year.
Wow. Yeah, there you go.
It seems like multiple years ago. It's just like
It
how
does,
time
right? I
kind of
feel like
compresses when you're in this space.
exactly. I feel like what this must have been 2 years, but it was just a year ago.
Yeah.
You want to touch on the Chris? You want to touch on the Trump thing with the Intel?
Oh yeah. So we were looking at our outline right before we got on. We're like, we made this. We had to delay this podcast a week. If you're like a hardcore subscriber to the pod, you realize we skipped a week. I'm sorry. Thank you for tuning back in. But we made the outline for a week ago, and then half the stuff is like out of date, which is crazy on the same point. But in the last week, Trump announced a 10% stake in Intel that he got for free. And then today he said it was a down payment on the sovereign wealth fund. Like, and people are extrapolating that to all these Bitcoin treasury companies. Like, oh, they're coming for Bitcoin next. I'm just curious your thoughts. Like, do you think that's an existential risk or is it bullish? Is it bearish? What do you think about it in terms of strategy and other Bitcoin treasuries?
I think it's bullish, and here's why. The more global adoption, whether it was the EO that Trump passed regarding having a strategic Bitcoin reserve or anything of that sort, or even these crypto funds in 401ks, I think at the end of the day, it's all a type of acceptance that the world is seeing. And uh, I'm a citizen of Canada. I'm a citizen of US. I also have overseas citizenship of India. And I can tell you right now, the whole world pays attention to what the United States does. So when Trump being the world leader as such in a way, when he's doing these type of things, I think the whole world is watching. And it kind of gives confidence to the Eastern countries that, okay, maybe there is some merit to this.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think from a Intel specific, I agree with the general statements you said. The Intel specific one, I think, is like very much driven by we haven't admitted to it as a country, but we're very behind on the AI and like chip fabrication thing, and I think that's what's driving that. I'm worried about the precedent of them just like bullying their way into shares of companies. It's interesting to see how that plays out. I like the counter argument people have said on Twitter that if they're going to go after a Bitcoin treasury, it'd be the small one that's like kind of struggling, not like the big one that has a huge moat like strategy. It's interesting to see how it plays out. But I'm bullish about it, especially for the AI thing. Like, I'm more the AI side of our podcast than Adam. I like drag him along and send him stuff about AI.
Hey, dude, all roads lead to Bitcoin, Chris.
Yeah.
Exactly, Adam. Tell him.
It doesn't matter. It's all going there anyway. Where's all that all that revenue in excess? You know, we're gonna.
It's going to Ethercoin or something, right?
To Dogecoin. That's right. Oh yeah, unfortunately, there was a day back when I was like a young resident, and when we first got in, kind of what you were talking about. And I used to joke with the anesthesia residents, "Oh, you can't be an anesthesiologist and not own Ether." And
right.
Man, I wish I could go back and be like, slap myself in the head.
I still have ETH on a cold wallet somewhere because you told me that, and I believed you.
Hey, it did just hit all-time highs, so you're up like 300.
I don't remember. I got to go find which wallet it is.
That's right. Kind of alluding back to the Intel stuff, I guess the way I look at it, it's a very slippery slope, right? Like, if we're going to have governments now buying into public companies, everything's just getting more and more centralized. And it makes you realize, like, at what point is stuff too big to fail? Like, that's even more too big to fail. They're not going to let Intel go down when they own a 10% stake in the company, right? Like, you're kind of disrupting the natural state of the free market. And so I do think it was somewhat necessary on an AI side of things. Like Chris, like, it was inevitable that was going to happen. I think the way I look at it is like, that just makes more of an argument to have cold storage Bitcoin, in my opinion. Like, you should own the most decentralized asset you possibly can, and it gives more worth to that asset because they can't take that from you. Where they could theoretically take, you know, what's next? They're going to take a portion of like your house and say, oh, if we're able to put your house or other stocks on the blockchain, are they going to take a fee on that?
I completely agree. I that's why I say everybody should have a self-custodied BTC before you even dive into BTC treasury companies. If you want to have a leveraged Bitcoin equity, first and foremost, get a good enough stack of BTC because you don't know what's coming up next.
Exactly.
In fact, just this past week, I was telling my father-in-law that Bitcoin is probably the world's best insurance. And rather than spending money on life insurance and then when you pass away, that's when the money comes to your family, why not just start building insurance while you're alive?
That's a great point, because then you can always tap into it if you have something come up that you need. It's fully liquid, 24/7.
Absolutely. And like
Yeah,
I said, Indians are one of the largest populations in terms of gold. And Indians are always buying lots of gold and keeping it in their vaults. And it is such a challenging asset in order to transport. You can't take it out on the streets and just have two, three gold bars with you. But your BTC, whether it's in a ledger or a Trezor, whichever it is, you're fine.
yeah,
And as long as you also know your seed phrase, you can access your money wherever you are.
yeah. Do you think, but just because a specific question popped in my head, is the Indian culture is very big on gold jewelry too, right? Is
100%. I
that
mean, I'm telling, it might be one of the biggest populations
is that
behind
a
gold.
what was it, chicken or egg? Like, was it the cultural significance of the jewelry first and then led to like stashing it in the vault, or is it like kind of the same? Are they tied together? What do you think?
I think it's basically, I think Indians in general is, again, this is a very general comment,
Yeah, yeah,
is they're very big on safety and insurance in a way.
sure.
And gold has always been a safe haven.
Hmm.
So whenever things go bad, whether it's equities, real estate, whatever it may be, gold is usually okay, you have a stack of gold, you'll be okay. You can weather the storm. And to answer your question, I think that's where it started. And then, Indian clothing is very ornamental as well. So I think it developed into a jewelry as well as an extension.
Yeah. Do you think a culture that's very heavily staked in gold and really understands that idea is more resistant to Bitcoin, or is easier to adopt Bitcoin?
I think it's such a catch-22
It is, yeah.
because they're so mentally married to their gold.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think the new generation in India is definitely very advanced, and they're beginning to understand that having a cryptocurrency or some sort of decentralized asset, which can be transportable, fungible, etc., is has a power of its own. And I
Yeah.
still believe, I think it is digital gold. I think it's gold 2.0, and I think that's where the power is. And some of the world's richest people belong in India.
Hmm.
And when they begin to go all in on BTC, I can't imagine what the price of BTC will be.
Has there been any? I haven't kept up with India specifically. Is there any rumblings about any governmental action towards Bitcoin or anything at all?
Oh, actually, in the recent news, it was actually pretty big. The government was saying that they're starting to look more and more into it. And also, India has its first BTC treasury company.
Yes.
It's
Oh, very
called
cool.
Jet King.
Hmm.
So, one of the people, Siddharth Barwani, he was actually at one of the strategy conferences, and he came to the Bitcoin conference as well. He had a
Yeah.
speech on stage.
Chris, we saw that
So,
one.
Yeah, we
yeah,
saw him. We saw him in that side room at the expo hall, I think it's called. Yeah.
yep. So, the fact that one company's already started, and India's a very competitive market.
Hmm.
When one person starts, there's 100 other eyes. I mean, our population is a billion.
Yeah.
One in eight people is Indian. So if one person's doing it, I can tell you the channel effect, the network effect is very quick.
And
Yeah.
I'm sure the Indians love that Saylor's the consultant to Pakistan, right? So yeah, it's some competition there.
Adam, let's not go there.
Yeah, that's right. You
This
got
is not a
to.
political podcast.
I just had to throw that in there. Well, speaking of Saylor, I had to throw this in there as well. Like, how cool was it for you to have that experience of getting a Saylor retweet? I like to just envision that you're just like busy on wards. You're seeing like your 40th consult for the day. You haven't got to
Yeah.
eat lunch or dinner, and it's like 7 p.m. that you finally get to check your phone, and you go check X, and you're like, why do I have 700 like notifications?
Actually, it's so funny you say that because it's startlingly, it's correct. You are perfect depiction. I was at the hospital and it was a very, very busy day on consults. And my brother-in-law is texting me in our group chat saying, Sahil, you will not believe what just happened.
That's
And I'm
That's
awesome.
like,
cool.
dude, whatever it is, I'm sure BTC went up, it's normal. BTC goes down, it's normal. Don't worry about it. He said, no, no, no. Go on Twitter right now, check X. Sailor just tweeted back to you. I was
That's awesome.
I was gonna tell him that before even checking. I said there's 100 Sailor bots.
It's
Unless
not
there's a
real.
blue check mark, it's not real.
Yeah.
I went to check it just to send him a screenshot of why it's not real, and I was absolutely jaw dropped.
Yeah,
That's so
that's
cool.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, it's not like. there is some sort of profit here or anything that somebody's like a demigod, but I think it's incredible what this man has done.
Yeah.
And I can say for absolute fact that he has changed my family's life. If it wasn't for him, I would never have been as orange pilled as I am now. For me to have, hardly any money in the S&P, have no other stocks, just only BTC treasury companies, I'm all in on this. And it's all thanks to him, actually.
Yeah, I think it's an example of conviction and courage and conviction. You kind of use interchangeably, but like what you described of like, hey, I'm taking 0% of my 401k, just give it all to me and I'll handle it myself. Like that's a very courageous financial move that you had to take, and you have a family and kids. Like that's a bold choice. It takes some diamond hands and diamond
Yeah.
other anatomical parts,
Yeah. Thanks.
to
I
it,
agree with you. Luckily, I was able to make that type of bet on life just
yeah.
because the way I see it is, as physicians, like I said, back to what I was saying, we make six figures, right? So let's say we are wrong. It's
Mhm.
very easy for us to bounce back up if we don't have debts.
Yeah.
But let's say the average person is making 40 to 60K. It's very hard for the average person to really go all in on something and then turn out to be wrong. And then how do you reverse that course?
Yeah, I think it's almost like a dual discouraging world. Like if you're just living paycheck to paycheck and someone's telling you Bitcoin's this great thing or Bitcoin is savings and everything else is an investment, like you don't see the growth that you see on X that's like trending on X, like all these leverage long people that are making, 7, 8 figures doing
Mhm.
Bitcoin. So I think it would be really hard to be committed to that goal. And I think we need to encourage that more. Like obviously physicians have a really high income and we get a little bit of a bonus even if you just save in it, because our
Right.
numbers our base math is a little bit bigger to start with. But yeah, like the more information we get, that's why we started this, is for anybody, a resident, an attending, a tech, a nurse, anybody that cares about their personal finance and knows that the system's not working. Like Bitcoin is a way to save and store that value, because ultimately it becomes your time, right? Like
Exactly.
you trade your time for an economic currency, and unfortunately, the currency that we're given in this country of the U.S. is just it's a melting ice cube.
Exactly. It's a melting ice cube, and I feel like it's never ending. You can work all year, you'll make six figures, and in the Fed, they'll just print eight figures and then send it to a different country.
Yeah,
What happened? Who was the loser? You were the loser.
yeah. Unfortunately, that is the ultimate truth. And when you realize that, it's kind of the exit the matrix moment, right? Like,
Exactly. And they always show that the Matrix movie, which pill do you want? But if you watch the movie again, it actually makes a lot of sense. And I think that movie is way ahead of its time.
me and Adam. So it's called Cosm. They have it in L.A. and Dallas and maybe somewhere in the Northeast. But it's kind of like the sphere, like a fully
Hmm.
surround picture.
Hmm.
And they're showing that they're bringing the Matrix back. I'm like, we're gonna go see this, and like
That's
it's like a
awesome.
full like 5D immersive experience. Like we have to go watch it, and it's gonna be awesome. Like
I'm tagging along,
in the
guys.
whole
Yeah,
thing, yeah.
you totally should. It's Chris and I are not going to tell the fiance and the wife and the kids that it's a Bitcoin related
Yeah,
adventure. No, it's just
they don't need to
the
know.
movie's great.
Yeah.
We'll get your kid Chris to say, "Where was the orange pill?"
Yeah, I think my wife is like 5 episodes behind, and this is only episode 6, or this is 7. She's 6 episodes behind.
Right, right.
I think one of the other things too that we touched on, that's part of why I'm always talking to the other docs. I'm like, you can take a call shift and put that extra call money into Bitcoin, and you're taking a bigger risk. Like that's more disposable income that you can actually afford to take that risk compared to
Right.
like the nurses or the scrub techs. And not that there's like an inherent issue with that. Obviously, there's just different finances that you can acquire. I haven't been able to wrap my head around like how to more easily orange pill some of the nurses and some of the scrub techs who I argue kind of need it more. They're stuck on the hamster wheel more than we are, right? Because we
Agreed.
can afford to take those bigger risks. And I mean, some of them are just so ingrained in the system. You can just tell, like living paycheck to paycheck, they can't afford to put. They're like, my $20, like you talked about earlier, isn't going to make a difference. I'm like, no, you just have to do it to experience how that will make a difference. Like just watch
Exactly.
it grow.
Yeah.
That's why I think like things like Gemini credit card are really easy on ramps to people that maybe have a lower, gross income than physicians. But it's just like, hey, just switch your card to this, and like you just accumulate Bitcoin without even thinking about it.
It's so
And
funny you mentioned Gemini
like
right
let's talk
now.
again in like a year. They just did the
It's
XRP card, which is just like a huge slap in the face to Bitcoin. But
No, it's so funny you mentioned Gemini because that was a card that I was telling everybody about. A lot of the medical students or nurses and other residents, fellows, etc., they don't want to put out extra money out of their
Hmm.
paycheck to Bitcoin. So I said I would send them a referral code. They would get it. They loved it.
Nice.
Gemini reaches out to me, DMs me saying, "You have got so many people onto the card. What is your home address? We want to send some stuff."
Oh, that's awesome.
And
Oh, that's awesome.
even now, I have a Gemini water bottle.
Oh, that's cool.
That's
They sent
cool.
me a Gemini wallet as well, and I think I think it's the best credit card. I had 22 to 24 credit cards before this,
Yeah,
and I was always trying to make the most of my credit card points, etc. Then I realized all that is garbage. I'd rather just get Bitcoin from my credit card.
yeah.
I called dibs at first passenger in your orange Cybertruck when they sent that to you. I don't know if you saw that at the Bitcoin conference. Chris was trying to find a way to like send in 60 referral codes to try and win it.
That's
I'm
hilarious.
the guy that reads the fine print of every sweepstakes, and there's always a free way to enter without doing anything. So I read through all the fine print and like sent in like 2,000 entries to win a Cybertruck. I did not win the Cybertruck.
My question to Chris was, well, if you did win it, would you sell it and buy more Bitcoin, or would you actually just use the Cybertruck? What's your
That was my question.
I'd
So
sell all my
Chris,
other cars and drive the
or keep
Cybertruck.
it? Okay,
yeah,
that's cool, respectable.
yeah. I have a Tesla too. I love my car.
Yeah, Adam's
I'm-
getting his Tesla tomorrow.
Yeah,
He's
so
joining the cult.
Oh, no way.
yeah, I've had the same Jeep I've had since high school. So we live in Texas. The heat's the AC's gone on in the summer the last 2 years, and I've still been
Oh, yeah.
driving it around just to try not to fix anything and save money. I was like, it's time. So I'm getting a Model 3. I'm excited.
Dude, the Model 3 is a fantastic car. I have a Model Y because
Yeah.
I need an
Yeah.
SUV for the kids, but it's a phenomenal car. You're gonna enjoy it.
Yeah,
Turn on full service driving and then listen to some podcasts. Some Bitcoin
Exactly.
it's a great way to
have
commute.
I always go between New Jersey and New York with FSD on, and I came from Jersey to New York City to about 2 nights ago. I did not touch the steering wheel or the pedals once.
Yeah.
Not once.
Amazing.
It drove for 2.5 hours on its own.
It's crazy. I
It
love it.
was-
I've had a Model 3 for a long time, and then my wife upgraded out of her Model X to something else, so I inherited her Model X, and that's what I drive every day. It's just amazing. Like
I mean, the thing is, if Bitcoin didn't exist, I think I'd be so heavily invested in Tesla.
I was going to ask you, are you not bullish on Tesla as a stock? Like I know it's a dichotomy. Like people are very bullish on Tesla as a technology, and you can think the technicals and fundamentals of Tesla
Right.
as an investment are overblown. Which I'm always debating which camp I'm in.
I think Tesla's a fantastic company. I don't think anyone can argue on that part, but I just am too, again, it's all denominated in dollars.
Yeah,
Sure, I agree, Tesla has BTC, but you got to be all in on. Like, if you're not all in, then I cannot be a shareholder. I'm sorry.
if you boil it down to Bitcoin's your hurdle rate, like if you're not going to beat Bitcoin, like you don't invest in it, like it doesn't
Exactly.
beat Bitcoin. But
Right.
I mean, it's a
And you
great
might,
company, and I'm bullish
it's
on
a
it.
fantastic
Like
company,
changing
and I
the
love
world.
my
But,
car.
yeah.
It's one of the best purchases, but you gotta be orange pilled, Elon.
Yeah. Not making a
Turn the payments back on.
AI companions with no clothes on. Like I was
Exactly.
very disappointed in that turn
Me
of
too.
events.
And
Yeah.
I remember in 2021 he had something called the B Word conference. That was him, Kathy Wood, and since then you don't ever hear him talk about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I think it's very strange. I think there's a lot to it. There's something going on there.
I
Yeah.
thought about this in the drive home because I listened to a podcast talk about Tesla. I was that Jordy Visser podcast you sent me, Adam.
Yeah.
It's always on my list, but I watched it thinking, I'm like, oh, Adam sent me this, I better really watch it. And I almost wonder they're so CapEx heavy and like all the AI stuff and the SpaceX stuff. Like it's like the one thing I could argue is upgrading the world long term, like a long time horizon. Like we need people to invest in that. If we all just invested in Bitcoin and didn't advance anything else, then I think that would be a net loss to society in the short, medium term. So I don't know if like, because he could obviously, as soon as he decided he was going to be a fanboy for Bitcoin and invest the company's free cash flow into Bitcoin, then it would just skyrocket the stock and Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So he always has that option. He has never. It's not like he's selling Bitcoin. So I don't know. Maybe he's neutral, but
I mean, he
I don't
did
know.
sell Bitcoin.
Yeah, he
He
did.
did sell a
Yeah,
stack. So it's not
that's
like
true.
Saylor, who has never sold a BTC.
It's true. So you don't think Saylor should sell Bitcoin to pay the preferred dividends?
No, I
I
don't
don't
think
think
so.
so either. Yeah.
I completely feel he should not sell it because it goes against what he's always said, which is never sell your
Exactly.
Bitcoin. So, and I think that if people say, oh, you can sell Bitcoin and buy back your shares, I still don't think it's a good
I
idea.
don't think so either. In my
Because
mind, go ahead.
if the biggest company is starting to do that, it's setting a very bad precedent.
For
And I
sure.
think he has to lead by example, which he's done for every single company out there right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
When some of the preferred start to get ratings too, right? The last thing you want to do is say it's, rated 8 to 10 to 1 over collateralized when you start talking about like Strife or some of these at the higher end of the capital stack. You don't want to jeopardize that when you start having trillions of fixed income coming in the door for him to buy more Bitcoin. And then, at any point, if you start selling, you're going to lose that sentiment.
Exactly.
Well, you lose the collateralization. Any SAT that he sells reduces the collateral ratio on
Right.
the preferred.
By more than he'd get back per SAT, right?
Yeah.
And
Essentially.
I think even more than the fundamentals or the intrinsic numbers is just setting a very bad story for the rest of the world.
For
I
sure.
can already imagine it'll be like headlines, Saylor sells Bitcoin,
Yeah, it
or
writes
something like
itself. The Fed
liar.
writes itself, right? Like,
Exactly. So if you're gonna say something and he's lived by it for over 5 years, I can't imagine him doing such a thing.
I think he has so many other ways to generate cash to pay those obligations than selling. Like, that should be the last thing on the table. Let's not make it the first thing on the table to generate cash.
Right. Right. And
Personally,
again, this is the guy who had diamond hands throughout
yeah,
the 2022 drop.
for
If
sure.
he didn't sell then, why would he sell now when the
Yeah,
company is infinitely better than what it was years ago?
I agree.
It gets back to the whole common stock ATM, right? Like people are losing their minds over the fact that he changed it back to like where he can now issue ATM on the common stock MSTR at 1.5 times MNAV. And it's like, if you guys just understood the whole narrative is the digital gold rush, and in 10 years from now.
Stand by for technical difficulties. The Bitcoin Fellowship is rebooting.
Welcome back.
I don't know what happened there.
Episode
No worries.
7.5.
He got too bullish. He fell off.
Saylor, we start talking about Saylor selling his Bitcoin and suddenly the Wi-Fi drops.
Yeah, the
Right.
Wi-Fi was.
He's bugged you.
They're listening.
Yeah.
No, but I think we're just Chris and I know are super, super bullish still. And I think the name of the game now is like you want to acquire as much as possible, as fast as possible.
I agree. And I also think that while you need to accumulate as much as you can, it's a weird thing that I also feel like he cannot go too fast where he obtains more than people have. Meaning, if he takes too much of the BTC supply, it almost doesn't incentivize anybody else to take part in it. And BTC has to be a decentralized asset, not an asset that has, MSTR as the largest body of it.
Yeah. I think by nature of having a fixed supply, like he's constantly working his ass off to get as much Bitcoin as he can. And like the fixed supply and the price dynamics of that mean that he approaches a steady state that allows people to still be involved. Personally,
Right.
I haven't thought much more deeper than that just that statement. But I mean, it's not like he can just go buy all the supply tomorrow. Like he has to work for it and be innovative and manufacture an interesting company and like the volatility that is required to generate the premium that he wants.
Use AI to generate new preferreds that have never
that's just
been
wild.
in the market. I mean,
Fantastic.
I guess the thought experiment is Strategy owns roughly 3% of all the Bitcoin supply ever, right?
No, as of today, it owns all. Yeah, it has
3%.
crossed 3% as of today.
So I guess at what's the number at which point you worry about being too centralized in strategies? Is it like 10% of all Bitcoin? Like,
yeah.
Do we even think he's ever going to get there? That would be what, 2.1 million coins if you're fully accounting for all 21 million. Like, that's going to be a tremendous amount of work to get to that level. And I do think some of these smaller Bitcoin treasury companies have the potential to implode in a bear market because they haven't set themselves up like a strategy or a Metaplanet where they have, sufficient reserves in the case of a huge drawdown.
While I think it's important MSTR tries to accumulate as many BTC as they can, I also feel it's overall advantageous if Saylor gets more people onto Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's not in the sense of a Ponzi scheme, but in the sense that if you can explain to the world why this asset is better than all the others, then everybody really wins. And that's why he said this is a casino where everybody wins.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he's not currently doing that every time he gets on stage every week and goes
exactly
on and tries to tell everybody like this is what you should be buying. Here's the 21 million in 21 years.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's crazy that even now that majority of the world is not doing it. You know, go to your nearest 10 neighbors and ask them how much Bitcoin do you have? Yeah. Ask them what is Bitcoin. Just do that part.
Yeah, my neighbor's a big XRP bull. Like he randomly texts me and my family about how much XRP he has. I'm like, please don't, just stop. Please don't.
Yeah. Tell them this is an orange house.
Yeah.
Is this spam?
Yeah.
Keep getting these spam texts.
Block.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're towards the part of the cycle, especially kind of with we're probably going to get into an altcoin frenzy here. And I think as Bitcoin maxis, you know, that's always kind of the hardest part of the cycle to take, is you hear all these people talking about how XYZ coin has gone up 200% in a day.
I think all the stable coins making their own level, like layer one, is really taking the steam out of altcoin season, personally. Like I think that just takes a lot of the investment thesis away from, like, ETH has kind of seen a bit, but I think it's because it's the number 2 and like people like, okay, I missed on Bitcoin, what can I get on next? But all the other stable coins, if you're paying attention, are making their own layer one that they're gonna that's the rails for how they're gonna transact stable coins. I don't see it. I mean, I can be wrong. I have no personal stake. I'm not like shorting it or against it, but I just don't see how the value proposition is there, like for what it becomes long term. That's just my personal.
What do you guys think about Ethereum and BMNR?
Tom Lee. I was so disappointed to see him, like, because I have tremendous respect for Tom Lee, but
I'm such a big fan of Tom Lee. I gotta say that though.
Yeah, I was too, and I don't know. I feel like obviously he's privy to things that we don't know about in the market, and he knows Wall Street better than a lot of other people. So again, I think Wall Street's going to want to try and capitalize on this crypto craze, and I could see, because Ethereum has been around for so long, it's been so well known, even though there's other fundamentals where there's some other altcoins and Bitcoin that has fundamentals better than Ethereum. I do think, based on the Lindy effect, and that's more well known, I think it will do well. I kind of disagree a little bit with you there, Chris. I don't have Bitminer, and you know, I've seen it do really well, but I think in the long run, everything goes to zero against the Bitcoin chart. So I have a very long-term time horizon. I'm not as much of a trader, and I'm not going to try and time the market about, I'm going to buy Bitminer and sell it here and then put that into strategy. You know, I'm perfectly happy just watching strategy slowly eat away at everything else.
Yeah.
Right.
Does Tom Lee have kids? Like, what is his like overall time horizon? I think that kind of maybe might inform what he's doing. I have no idea.
I'm also trying to understand why Ethereum. Why not have your own BTC company at that point?
Yeah. He could have a very successful BTC treasury just from his name and like his clout from that. Like, that's a great point.
I think
what happens in the instance that Ethereum falls, or you know, the BTC to Ethereum ratio continues to go down? It's just gonna it's really interesting how this whole thing's gonna play out.
Yeah, how are you going to pivot, right? When we do go into a bear market and the altcoins start to go down, at what point are you like, okay, I don't want to be holding Ethereum? And you can't be the biggest Ethereum company and start selling Ethereum.
Well, you just have to be the biggest. You have to be the first one, and you have to commit to that switch like so quickly, right? Like
exactly.
You could build up a whole ETH treasury company and think that in the next 6 to 12 months you have that edge, and you're gonna get more than you would have been just being BTC. But the violence that transaction would have to happen, like, I would think if that happened, like if you built up Bitminer as like ETH treasury company, and then over a Sunday night into Monday he switched to Bitcoin, that would just have to kill ETH completely, right?
This whole thing is honestly going to be a very interesting bull run.
Yeah.
I honestly don't even think the Bitcoin bull run has really kicked into full effect here, because I feel like we're just going from, you know, one piece of the ladder to the next. But historically, BTC would rise very fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like the 4-year cycle, like we're almost to the top season. Like,
and it doesn't feel like
Q4. It doesn't feel like it now.
It doesn't feel like. I remember in 2020, like I said, I was with the anesthesia guys, and everybody was trading crypto. Everybody's talking about it. You know, the Uber driver's talking about it. You go to the deli, somebody's talking about it.
Yeah.
But I feel like the world's not looking at it right now.
I personally think we've moved on to like global liquidity cycles, which has pushed into like Q1, Q2 beyond 2026. Like, I think we're going to track that more closely than just the calendar 4-year cycle.
I agree.
I think at least for the next era of Bitcoin, like that's where we're going to go. I don't know if that holds forever, but
Well, you also have Powell in his last speech coming out and basically saying like we're no longer going to stick to a 2% target, right? He's like setting the stage up for rate cuts and like this inevitable money printing, right? Because that's what the whole system is built off of. The more and more this kind of stuff happens, the more I'm like, wow, maybe Josh Mandel is right. Like, is that how we really get to 444,000? Like,
I think that's too high personally. I mean, but who knows?
Too, but it just
444.
like,
I think we're all quitting.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would tender my resignation. Yeah, pretty quickly.
Just work part time, right? It's like we all said. Like,
I work part time to pay because my kids use way too much healthcare. Like, I feel like when I was a kid, my dad was primary care. I never went to the doctor. He just did it all for free, like in the bathroom. Like, oh, you need stitches? Here you go. Like all these things, and I have chosen not to do that with my kids. I'm like, I don't want that responsibility. Like, I've forgotten so much I already knew about anything that was primary care related, and I didn't want to ask him about. I'm like, I'm not gonna send him to grandpa's house. So, long story short, my kids go to the doctor so much. I have to keep a job just to pay for their like health needs. They'll grow out of that eventually, but at the age they are now, it's like every other week we're at the doctor. I text. I mean, the doctor privilege, air quotes. Like our pediatrician gave me a cell phone number, and like he's like, just text me, it's fine. I'm like, initially I'm like, I'm not gonna do that, and now I'm like, hey, something happened.
Yeah. Are you guys more into BTC or BTC treasury companies?
I'm probably, if I did the math, 50-50. Like I have my net worth, like 50-50s in just cold storage BTC. And then depending on the day, I expect my Bitcoin treasury company stack to grow larger just because it's the more disposable income I have is just my retirement income that just automatically goes to my 401k. But right now it's about 50-50.
Okay.
Mine's the exact same. So I had a certain amount of like Bitcoin that was always my target that I wanted to get to, and obviously that's as you get to that target,
it gets higher and higher.
Yeah, those goalposts keep moving, right?
Exactly.
And so I got to what I felt comfortable with, and I really wanted to. And Chris and I have talked about this separately, but in our retirement, we went really heavily into strategy about 2 or 3 years ago, and that's worked out very well. But that was kind of where I had my Bitcoin treasury play. And now the hard part for me has been, okay, how much do I want with each, paycheck? How much do I want to put into, like a Bitcoin treasury company like Strategy? And how much do I want to put into cold storage Bitcoin?
Yep.
I've tried to be stacking more into like a brokerage account. That way in the future, I can have, Strategy or Metaplanet to sell covered calls against as a source of, additional income, or like if I wanted to scale back at all from work that I couldn't necessarily do with Bitcoin. But at present time, that's still about 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's like 45 and 45 and then 10% wedding funds. And then
exactly
to take from the wedding fund and put it in when we get dips like this.
Congratulations in advance, by the way, Adam.
Thanks, man. We're excited. February is the date, so we're looking forward to it.
Beautiful. It's going to be a Bitcoin wedding.
Yeah.
Chris will be there. I'm sure that's going to be off the menu, not allowed to be talked about amongst.
Probably.
There will definitely be some Bitcoin buddies there, so I'm sure we'll find a way to talk about. We'll have to do like a Bitcoin bachelor party or something like that.
That's hilarious.
Isn't your bachelor party going to be Strategy World? Didn't we decide that?
We'll keep that on the list. I don't know how well that's going to go over, but we'll see.
Oh, you haven't floated that idea yet?
I take what I can get, man. I don't want to get into trouble.
That's hilarious.
We're gonna be up your direction.
Time.
Yeah, we're gonna be your direction for the unconference in another couple weeks. I don't know if you're gonna be there. You might be working.
I'm probably working. Okay. It's right now. This year I'm working about 6 days a week.
Okay.
So it's been almost impossible. On the 7th day, I just block it out for the wife and kids.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. So it's been a lot of call shifts this year. But again, next year and the next 2 years, I won't have any call shifts as such.
Very cool. Are you in Manhattan or are you upstate? Like what part of Newark are you in?
I'm in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're there the day before. We're gonna go to PubKey. So we'll just have to hit you up.
Shoot me a text.
If you happen to be free, we'll have to meet up.
Shoot me a text. I'll swing by.
Yeah. I totally understand if you're not able to make it, but we'll definitely let you know when we're in town.
We'll meet you at the hospital.
Yeah.
Come through.
We'll bring apparently the burgers are really good. Yeah. We'll bring you a burger from PubKey. Apparently they're like world famous.
They're very good. Yes. In fact, British Huddle was at PubKey just a while back.
Very cool.
Yeah. Have you gone before to PubKey? You have to.
I was actually gonna. He messaged me. I was gonna go meet up with him, but Again, same story. I had a call shift that day, so I
Yeah.
was like, "Listen, man, you're gonna, you know, I was gonna start my work at 8 p.m. and he was about to, meet up at Pubkey at 8 p.m.
Oh,
So
okay.
this can't happen, man."
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, this is a great example of the sacrifice, right? Like we put in
100%.
so much during this whole process. Like the last thing you want to do is just like not pay attention to your finances. It's like after you finish, you want to be able to do all this fun stuff and all the time you had sacrificed during, medical school and residency and fellowship.
Yeah.
Be able to capitalize it.
There's like the list of things you miss as in training, like friends' weddings, birthdays.
It's
holidays.
terrible.
Bitcoin. I didn't think Bitcoin events would be like high on the list, but I feel like it's pretty high on the list, right? Like you missed a chance to get a burger with British Hodl. That's like you're gonna remember that for a while.
100%, especially because I know all these people, whether it's Josh Mandel, British Hodl, a lot of these people are controversial on both sides.
Yeah.
But I'm personally a big fan of him, and I like his message: get to 1 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have that mentality than don't get to 1 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So
sure. Absolutely, there's a million different ways to invest, right?
Exactly.
The message is always the same. It's always that you don't have enough Bitcoin. And you just have to get off zero. Whether for some people that's going to be 1%. If you're a multi-millionaire and you have $1 billion, like 1% Bitcoin's enough for you. If you're somebody that has less, maybe you need to go a little bit riskier, right, in order to try and benefit from the broken system. So,
no, I agree. And again, like somebody like him, he's been trying to orange pill as many people as he can. He's got a huge audience, and I think that's what it all comes down to. We all need to do our part and just really explain to as many people as we can.
Absolutely, man. Are there any go-to like resources you recommend when you're trying to orange pill the medical students or like the interns that are with you? Do you recommend like a certain book or podcast?
I think it's funny you say that. I would say for my number one resource, my go-to every single time was Michael Saylor's presentation in BTC Prague. I think this was BTC Prague 2023. And I've never seen a better presentation than that on finance. And the way he broke it down that these are the different currencies, and Indian rupee is here, Argentina is here, this is United States, US is killing everything. And then you look at just US and you see how bad US is. How much it's degraded over the last 50 to 80 years.
The best of the melting ice cubes.
Exactly. So the best of the melting ice cubes. So I've never seen a better presentation than that. And that's when I put into context that I'm like, Dad, I know you're an investor. I know you have, real estate, stocks, gold, etc. But everything's losing against BTC. Divided by BTC, and it's a downwards graph. So that presentation really opened our eyes. And that was in 2023.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, he's definitely got some good ones, and it gets you pumped up, and it makes you want to learn more. I think that's the charisma that Saylor has with that. Is we're lucky to have him on our team.
He's literally such a good speaker too. The way he knows how to communicate how strong Bitcoin is to the audience, I think it's phenomenal because people like Jack Mallers, these are people who really understand what it is, and they're not trying to sell it to you like a salesman. Instead, they're trying to explain to you that this is a solution. Do you want it or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Jack does a great job of illustrating what the problems are.
Yeah.
And him being our generation and talking about all, there's a reason that a lot of people our age don't have houses or can't afford to have kids yet, right?
Mahler's Jack is so relatable. And him and his
yeah, in the closet with all his empty shelves.
Yeah, and that one hoodie.
yeah, the one hoodie. That's right.
Right. So I think it's great. It's great we have these type of people in our corner, and I always tell my wife, I'm like, who knew the people I'm going to look up to are people like Jack Mallers, Michael Saylor. I'll be talking to British Hodl. Like, what?
Yeah, I think the cool thing is these people are just like people. Right?
Exactly.
Like you can go meet them. I know when Chris and I went to the Bitcoin conference, we're huge True North fans. And so just getting to sit there and talk to Dan and Jeff and, Mason and all of those guys, like they're just genuinely just good people that they wanted to spread the word, what's worked for them. That's kind of what encouraged us to do something like this, especially for people in medicine that don't like to talk about it.
No, I think first off, I'd say it's fantastic that you guys are doing this. So when you reached out to me saying, do I want to be a part of it? I said, absolutely, because it's literally our responsibility to get it out as much as we can.
Yeah.
And speaking of this MSTR True North guys, I mean, they're very nice. I met them at the Bitwise rooftop events, and it was, everyone's very humble. Everyone's very easy to speak to.
Yes.
No one's arrogant, and there's no reason to be arrogant.
Yep.
If you have Saylor who owns all these BTC and he's not arrogant, what right do we have?
Did you get invited to the 100K party? Like that would be like.
I wish I was. Yeah. No. And if I did, I would not spend New Year's Eve like that. I would spend
I
it with my
wouldn't either.
family. Yeah.
You guys have to get on Gladiator's level to do that.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to be Gladiator and his dad. I think New Year's Eve is and always will be time with the family.
Yeah, for sure.
You finish the year and you start a new one with the same people.
Yep. That's a great outlook. Any other final thoughts you want to leave with the people with? We're about at our hour 10-minute mark.
Yeah.
Where people, I don't know how long people watch our show, but I feel like if past an hour, you probably start losing people. But
yeah.
Any closing thoughts? Anything you want to leave the people with?
I would say if you've not started Bitcoin, then get started now. It does not matter what the price is. It's only going to go up from here. If you don't get it at 100K, you're going to get it at 200K. If you don't get it at 200K, you're going to get it at 400K. So the earlier you get your foot on the door, the better it is. And I think there's a Japanese saying that if you realize you're on the wrong train, it's in your best interest to get off on the next stop.
That's a great one.
So,
I like that.
Yeah. That shout out to Metaplanet.
See, but that's why I don't the no vacancy thing. Is there a slogan no vacancy or vacancy?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Someone made a hat and it says like no vacancy on it. I'm like, well, it's open. Like you can come join. Like you're welcome.
I haven't seen that one yet.
But very cool. Where can people find you online if they want to follow you more? Is X your primary spot?
I only use X, so you can follow me on Sahil Zaveri MD on there, and you'll hardly see any medical content. You're only gonna see orange pilling content.
Awesome. The important stuff, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I leave the hospital stuff at the hospital.
Yeah,
as it should be.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Sahil, thanks again, man. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, and hopefully we get to see you at one of these events sometime soon in person.
Looking forward to it. Thanks a lot, Chris and Adam.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. It's been awesome. I'm sure we'll have you back. I can't wait to have some of these people back, on and on again on the podcast. And you're definitely at the top of the list for people we're calling back.
I'd love to. And again, I think it's phenomenal that you guys are doing this stuff. And I always say whether you have 50 followers or 100, everything starts out with the very beginning. And it's just the fact that you're doing this is very, very good.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being a part of it. We're definitely still in the beginning phase, but we're excited as it's grown. Even, we don't pay attention to it for a few days and it comes back and we're like, oh, we have like this many more followers. It's great.
Yeah.
And just reaching one more person and getting them interested, because it's not the first touch point of Bitcoin. I think people get it. It's like the 7th, the 10th, the 12th.
I agree. Nice.
And
well said, Chris.
It's like the 12th plus someone they know, or someone that they can relate to. So hopefully we're relating to people out there. Other docs, young docs, old docs. My dad was on like episode 2 or 3.
I saw that actually.
Yeah, and like it doesn't matter where you are in your medical career. It's not too late. You just have to change. It looks a little bit different, but the fundamentals are the same. That fiat is failing, and it's failing you. The medical society, the medical system in America is just not built in our favor long term. And there is the next stop, like you said, and it's time to get off.
Exactly. Yeah. And I would encourage every single person to invest your money. I know there's this common consensus that invest 10% or 20% of your paycheck. I would say that's too conservative. I would say you need to be much more aggressive. There was a point where I was spending, I was saving more than I was spending. And I think it's actually always been the case.
Yeah. I think that's the mentality of most Bitcoiners. I think Chris and I are the same way. You enjoy more a dollar saved than a dollar spent.
It's like, how can I save more?
I hate spend. In fact, I am so frugal. I tell my wife all the time, do we really need that?
Yeah.
You only need one chair, right?
There you go. I might even sell this chair at the end of this conference.
Right. I switched. I think it's not going to make the recording, but I switched out of my noisy chair to my quiet chair. Like the noisy chair, it needs to go. It's unnecessary.
Especially with this dip.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think everybody should just get started.
For sure.
I like the idea of get on at the next stop. I was trying to think of something clever to say, but then it popped in my head too late. But I was going to say, but what if nothing stops this train? And
then you got to make your own stop.
Jump on the back of the train, man. Try and claw your way in. You don't want to be on that, like, if it's going up forever.
That's hilarious.
But on the same key, nothing stops this train. It's not slowing down. So if you're not going to, it's always
up,
it's
man.
never easier to get off than today. It's always going to be harder tomorrow.
I agree,
right?
and it's only gonna accelerate from here.
Yeah. Very cool.
Fun, guys.
We'll wrap it with that. We'll bring you back again next time. Good luck. Are you on wards? What are you on this week, this month?
I'm finishing up non-invasive. So today I was doing echoes, nuclear cardiology, and then tomorrow I'm on call. It says 24 hours. I'm gonna be tired.
Sorry.
We'll get some rest. Thank you for all your work with non-invasive.
We appreciate your finite time, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you for your personal time. Thank you for your professional time, because I think cardiology and good cardiology notes are like very important to what we do.
100%.
we had one guy, he said like his recommendation was make sure they have a good anesthesiologist.
Anesthesiast is always consulting us for like pre-op clearance.
Yeah.
I was like, listen, man, you guys know what to do.
Yeah, you can handle it.
Some of those clearances are very sketch.
Some of them are very good.
Guys, but like from like the PCPs and stuff. I'm like,
oh yeah. I always want to say just get one of the medicine doctors to do it.
Yeah. There you go.
Very cool.
So,
well, have a good night. Thank you for your time. I'm gonna go tuck the kids in bed and have a good rest of the week.
Perfect, guys. It was great time today.
Yeah.